Hi, blessed be. This is a video response to Wiccagem's contest video. And his question were, what god do you work with? And how did you get into contact with that deity? What drew you to him? Now, for me, I'm not really sure how to answer the question, because usually I see the gods more like energies. So that this is the paradigm I usually work with. Now I am a Chaote, so I do change around my paradigm every now and again, but my regular paradigm is as an energist. So I see the gods as energies, and these energies can be personified as one needed, so that if I am working with weather magic, I might draw on Thor. But if I am working with pure magical energies and self-development through magic, I may draw on the Egyptian god Heku, and so on. So the main way I see the god is just as the essence of masculinity. So so the way I would see him would change very much according to the season, according to the ritual, and usually it is relatively basic, so that at Yule I see the god as the child of promise. Then he grows into a man and is a young warrior by the time we have Beltane. And then at midsummer he is at the strength of his power as the horned hunter of the sun. And then he is the sacrificed king in the autumn, and then becomes the dark lord of the underworld, until he again is the child of promise. That his essence, if you will, or more to say, his face changes according to what ritual, what symbolism, and what season I am working with. I must also admit that I am perhaps a bit more of a stereotypical witch there, that I do work more with the goddess than I do with the god. Now I do try to maintain some balance, but I do. So yeah, my main aspect, the way I see the god, is as energy, as masculine energy, as yang. But I do personify the god at times, and the aspect I usually work with then is Hermes. I consider him my patron deity to go with my patron goddess Circe. Now what drew me to Hermes is that he is a god of wisdom and magic. I like the stories around him, and I started working with him when I were, I don't know, 15, 16, around there. So I like the connections between Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, that he is very much, you can say he is the magician personified, because just like a magician is a person who is a physical being, but who has contact with forces and deities. On the other side, Hermes is the messenger between humankind and the gods. He is the essence of magic, and therefore I am very attracted to him. So I consider him to be my patron deity, the male patron deity. Other aspects I often work with a god in is the Christian god Jehovah. Now, the reason why, and I'm not Christian, I consider myself pagan, but I do believe in Jehovah. Now, the reason for this is that one time I was at the lowest point in my life. I um I've I have Asperger's syndrome. That is sort of like high functioning autism, and when you and one thing that's very common among people with this syndrome is that we are not the most social beings in the world. Especially when I have a bad period, I don't like people around me, especially people I don't know. So I was visiting my mom, and she had to call the doctor who came visiting. And I was sleeping at the time, and I suddenly wake up as a strange man in the living room. So I just ran out and ran up to the room I have there. And since I was so uh, disinterested in having anything to do with him, he somehow thought that I was suicidal, and he had 3 police officers, 3 of them, in uniform, come to my mother's house and drag me out. I was in my dressing robe and nothing else, to put me in a hospital for observation. Now, I was on the phone with my hubby, and he told them that she has Asperger's syndrome. You can't do this. It is very, very damaging. But still, they hold me off, and it's not like they mistreated me or anything. But that sort of a shock when I was already in a bad mood, I had a bad period, to then deal with people that way, to be treated that way, and be locked up, it made me extremely scared. And I prayed, and I didn't pray to a particular deity, but one deity answered, and I knew he was the Christian God. I don't know how I know that, because he didn't answer me in words, but I knew he told me he would help me. But it wasn't in words. I can't explain how the communications happened, and I can't explain how I knew it was the Christian God, but it was. And since that time I have had a relationship with him. Of course, it also helps that my hubby is a Christian, so I sort of have a connection to that God. So yeah, that's also a aspect of the God that I often work with. So yeah, I don't really have a hard fast answer to your question for this video, because I don't really work with one deity. I sort of see all the various phases of the god as just another one of his aspects. Now, like I said, I am a chaote, so that changes. Um, One day I have that idea that every male deity is an aspect of the god, and every female deity is an aspect of the goddess. And the next day I might see them as separate entities, and the next day again I see them all just as energy. So yeah, it changes, but generally I have a bit more fleeting concept there. I think that these gods are personifications of energies, of forces, and that usually I work directly with that energy. But when I personify them, it is usually Hermes or Jehovah, or something more basic, as in the the Child of Promise, or the Horned Hunter of the Sun, instead of one name, instead of it being Zeus or Hades or Thor or Odin or Thoth. It is usually the king of wisdom, the uh, the king of wisdom, the god of the underworld, and so on. I usually don't use names directly, but when I do, it's most of the time Hermes. So yeah, that is the gods I work with, and of course I do work with more of them. I have a tendency to change it around a bit, and I have a tendency to work with the gods that I feel I need to work with in the moment. Now that some people might react to that because in a way that is not worship, but I am always respectful and I always ask for help, I don't demand it. But since I see all of these as energies, I see it more like contacting the energy that I need at the moment. And of course respecting that energy. But in most of my paradigms, I don't see them as directly persons, but more as personifications of energy. So yeah, hope you liked my response, and I hope your contest goes very well. Have a great day, and blessed be.